Hello again. If you followed this video until this session, then you know that in this session we will try to release our application in production, and we will also release a new branch in Git. In order to accomplish this, we need the prod machine. The prod machine is a machine like a performance machine, only that it doesn't have the JMeter tests. So basically it is pretty simple to set, since you already saw in the previous sessions. So I have started the production machine, and as you can see here, I have exposed the production machine environment in Windows. There is no containers running, no image available, and I have prepared the image that contains the deployment environment, Payara server and Postgre, and now I will build it. Since this will take some time, I will speed up the video until the image is built. Now, as you can see, the image was built, and we have to configure the production machine in Jenkins. Okay, so I'll go in configure system. Since you saw in previous sessions how to configure a Docker cloud, I will point out only the important parts. So add new cloud. So we specify the name, prod machine, the Docker URL. We need the IP of the Docker machine. This one, okay. We need the credentials. In this case, the certificates for this machine are available here. So we need this path to be added in Jenkins credentials. This should be the credentials. We can test the connection. We copy the Docker API version, and we can save these settings. Now we have to configure the Docker image for production containers. Add Docker template. We have to specify the Docker image name, which is Jenkins agent PD. We have to specify a label. Okay, we will use this node only for specific jobs, and we will set the Jenkins credentials. Important here is the fact that since the production machine should be available outside the Docker container, outside the Docker host, we need to bind the 8080 port. This is the Payara server port, and also from the experimental option we will choose to keep this agent online as much as possible, since the production machine should be online even if the pipeline is not running. Okay, we can save these settings. Now if we look to our pipeline, we notice that beside deploying the application in the production machine, we also have another task in the pipeline. This task is about publishing a new branch in GitHub, a release branch of the current build, and these two will take place in parallel. So in order to push a new branch in GitHub, we can do it in several ways. We can use the with credentials pipeline command. We can use SSH agent plugin, or the recommended way is Git publisher. But Git publisher is not available when this video was made, so we will use the with credentials command. In order to use this command, we have to add in Jenkins a new set of credentials for the user and password for GitHub access. So I will say add credentials, user and password. I will type the user and the password for accessing GitHub. And I will give it an ID. I will say GitHub UP from user password, and okay. Now we have prepared almost everything. We need to add the pipeline code, so we have to edit the Jenkins file. The snippet of code needed in the Jenkins file is this one. As you can see, we fire in parallel the deployment of the application in the production machine, and we push to GitHub the new branch release. Now about deploying the application on in production, we deploy the application on Payara server, so we have to ensure that Payara server is running. Since this container will remain alive even after the pipeline ends, we have to not attempt to restart the Payara at further builds. So first we try to ping the Payara ports, and if they respond, then Payara is running and we can go to the next stage. Otherwise we can attempt to start Payara. Okay. Further, we download the application from Artifactory. We download from the release repository, and after download, we deploy the application in Payara server. For this, we rename the application as a Spring MVC demo. This is basically needed for preserving the context path of the application, because further we will do an incremental deployment, so we don't stop the server and redeploy the application. We don't delete the application, we simply override the WAR file, and Payara will take care of it and will redeploy the application. Okay, so as you can see here, we don't deploy the application as we did it in the performance test machine. We don't use the deploy command. We simply copy the WAR file in the auto deploy folder of Payara. Of course, depending of the used server, the deployment is specific. So if you choose Apache Tomcat, you will have other steps. You may choose to use for continuous deployment tools such as Puppet or Chef, or any other tools that are capable to fire up deployments environment. Now the second task here is to push the new branch in GitHub. This is pretty simple. As I said earlier, we use the with credentials command, and here we specify the credentials ID. This way we can authenticate to GitHub, and we can push this new branch. Okay, so this is the code. Now let's see how it works. I will fire up a build. Okay, and now I will speed up the video until the pipeline ends. See, the pipeline is now deploying the branch in Git, and it also deployed the application in production in our container. Now the pipeline pings the Payara server, and since the Payara is not running, we can see an error. Since Payara is not responding, the pipeline tries to start it. So the Payara starts successfully, and now the pipeline is downloading the WAR from Artifactory. It renames the WAR as a Spring MVC demo, and it deploys it in Payara. Now the pipeline successfully end. Let's see the output. Okay, first we will check if the new branch is available in GitHub. So the new branch should have this name, release 1.2.60.58. So here is the GitHub account, and as you can see, the new branch is available. The new release was successfully pushed to GitHub. Okay. Further, we will check out if the application is available in production. So this is the IP of the Docker host, and on port 8080 we have the Payara server. This is the welcome page of Payara. So now we will check out our application. As you can see, the application is up and is working fine. So the application is in production. Now the application is working, so let's see what it's happening if we do some modifications in the application. I will edit this simple page, the first page of the application. I will say here my second Spring MVC application. And I will also modify this controller. For example, now let's commit these modifications, and let's fire a new build. Okay, I'll speed up the video until the pipeline finish. Okay, the pipeline is done. Now let's see the output. Okay, so as you can see, this is the application before the modifications, and now I will reload the page. I will refresh the page, and as you can see, the modification appears, which means that the application was redeployed by Payara. We see the message hello to you instead of hello world. So we have reached out to the end of our pipeline. In the next session we will set Artifactory as the default repository for the developers and for the pipeline, and we will configure the pipeline to send the notifications by mail when the pipeline fails. Okay, see you in the next session.